11 years. I am Carl. I am a alcoholic addict, among other things. And my sobriety is August 22nd, 2014.
Today!
Oh, yeah, it is today. That's how it happened this morning, actually. And you are?
I'm Lindsey. I'm definitely an alcoholic. And my sobriety date is September 6th, 2015.
Coming up! What? So 2016. So is it 16? 15.
15. So 15. This will be double digits.
Oh, this is 10 for you. Big old
God
10.
Willing.
Got the big X coming. All right. So
yeah, we're like within a month of each other.
Yeah, that's kind of neat, actually.
Yeah, okay. It is.
So this is SoberPod.
Soberpod.com. Yeah, SoberPod, keep it authentic, no facades. If it's real, then you know it's ours. Welcome.
SoberPod is a podcast dedicated, that's right, we're dedicated to the, but we're not that dedicated because we haven't done one in a little while. But we like to be dedicated to the idea that one addict or alcoholic helping another is crucial to building a life in recovery. Join us this season as we read from our books, 366 Effing Days Sober and Spirit Vigilante, and you can get those books by going to soberpod.com or thespiritvigilante.com. All right, Lindsey, 11 years. How did I do it?
How does it feel?
How does it feel?
Yeah.
That's
to be
on your own. To be sober like a rock. Sober like a rock. You know what? How does it feel? You know, I was talking to my sponsor because my sponsor gave me a call today. Actually, he was the first person to acknowledge that I had been sober for 11 years. Everybody else just kind of waited till I posted something on Instagram because nobody is going to remember it.
I'm the worst because I hear it once a week. I hear your sobriety date once a week. And
to this day, I spent 5 years recording with just me and Chelsea, right? If everybody's listening and goes back to listen to me and Chelsea, I spent 5 years every week. I've heard it more than, a few times. And I still can't remember her sobriety date. It just will elude me constantly, right?
That's unreal.
No, it's just the alcoholic frame of mind. It shows who we are. And it's like when we're on a podcast, it's like we're just saying that as like a thing, right? We're not really listening to it. I could say I could change it every time. You wouldn't even notice.
I wouldn't. August and 2014.
Maybe.
Anything.
Yeah. I should start changing it every time just for fun. I was talking to my sponsor and I was thinking, maybe you should share it too on how it feels because it's coming up, right? It's like on some level, like this is the saddest thought that I had this morning. Are you ready? This is like the reality of it. I was thinking, there's not a lot of dudes running around with 30 and 40 years of recovery, even though I know a lot of people that are starting right now who would qualify if they were my age, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I know dudes that are 20 years old getting sober right now, right? And they've got 6 months or a year, right? But there's not a lot of people running like that. Even dudes that got like, maybe they stopped at 30 or 35. And there's dudes in there at 65 years old, some of them do have 30, 35 years, which is great, but there's not a lot, right? And I was thinking, the sad part about this is like, even my sponsor, the one who died, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, he would have had 25 years, but he had like, I don't know, or he would have had more, maybe he would have had 30, but he relapsed and at like 5 years sober and started smoking dope or something, or weed. And then he had to reset his sobriety date. But he had like, when I met him, I think he had, I want to say 16, 17 years or something like that. Wow. But again, he died, right? And there's a reason why. And I'm sitting here, by the way, part of the reason why I haven't even done an episode is because I'm going through cancer treatments. I got bladder cancer and it sucks. And it's not like the end of the world. Believe me, it sounds worse than what it is. I have a low-grade, non-aggressive form of bladder cancer. So that means it's pretty much localized in the bladder. It just means that I have to pee a lot in inopportune times, right? So, and it also means that strange women get to touch my penis every week, which is awesome.
Silver lining everywhere.
Yeah, just keep bringing it up. So, and it's manageable and it's whatever. But let me just say, like, when I was talking to my doctor about, the causes of bladder cancer, we talked about my smoking and my drinking. He's asked me about my history and like what's going on, and I was like, well, I smoked when I was 8 years old, and I, because they always ask, do you smoke? Do you drink? And I'm like, not anymore, and I got 10 years or whatever at the time, and then he goes, okay, what was it before that? And I was like, well, let me tell you, and then I made some joke about the causes of my cancer, and he goes like, no, it's the smoking and the drinking. like he just like,
really,
like, clearly, like,
really,
if there's a red flag for your cancer, it is those two things. So my dark thought this morning is a lot of the times we don't see these dudes with beyond 20 years is because our drinking is a price to pay. There is a price to pay for our behaviors, and as much as we think that quitting smoking or drinking 10 years ago is going to save us, quote unquote, or somehow going to neatly evade the effects of our alcoholism, that is not true, right? So, because a lot of these dudes don't make it, there's a lot of cancer, there's a lot of impact, there's a lot of organ failures, there's a lot of strokes, heart attacks. I mean, these things happen to a lot of us because of the way we're drugging and drinking, right? So it is like, as much as I sit there and look at 11 years, I just kind of go, oh. And by the way, for everybody celebrating, remember when you were celebrating like your first year, how awesome that was?
Yeah.
Like, did people like, did you get a cake? Did you get a medallion? Did you do all that shit?
So here there's something called a watch. And
oh, what? This sounds kinky. Let's
sounds
get into it.
Witchy, right? So you have a party and everyone stays up till midnight.
To make sure you're not drinking in that first year? Just a double check.
Until midnight comes of your sobriety date.
That's an East Coast thing for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. So that was fun, and that was like the first kind of social thing I did around sobriety.
Around the year.
Yeah.
It was to celebrate a year anniversary?
It was a year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's only for the first year.
So, and then your second year, did you do anything for your second year?
I can't remember. I really can't remember. I haven't celebrated in a long time. I know that, which isn't...
That was my next question. Is like, when's the last time you actually celebrated?
Which isn't great because we don't do it for ourselves. We do it to show others that the program works.
Cool.
But I just haven't. But as you were talking about different forms of illness, especially chronic illness, I was thinking when someone has cancer, that's not the first cause people think of, though. They don't think of drinking and smoking unless it's very clearly lung cancer.
A lot of the times it's hereditary or whatever, but the abuse that you do to your organs.
Right. But what I'm saying is that's why I think so many deaths aren't classified as alcoholism or drug use because they're it was a heart attack. Oh, it was cancer.
Stroke.
It was this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
So we don't realize how big of a problem it is. And people can just kind of blame hereditary or something.
And I just want to say, like, in the reading, it'll talk about it too. It's like, in the AA Big Book, they say, there is a price to pay, which is like the destruction of the ego of the self, right? Like and that is an understand, like that price I pay almost gladly because like, it's my ego, it's my personality, everything that really is kind of causing a lot of the trouble in my life, right? But they often don't talk about the price to pay as it relates to the physical. I mean, we do talk about financials and stuff. I mean, we mention health in the book for sure. Don't get that wrong. But it doesn't really talk about the long-term impact. See, I know it's really depressing, right? But it's true.
Probably. I wonder how old, I think it probably has something to do with how old Bill and Bob were when they got sober, right?
Yeah.
How old were they? Do you know?
I think Bill was 40 by the time he actually got sober.
Oh,
so
okay.
So,
Yeah.
and then, I mean, Bob, probably similar, maybe older, I think. But yeah, it's, yeah, and then the other thing is, it's what they die of, right? It's not necessarily, see, the thing is, they're not dying drunk, and that's like a real important delineation there, right? Like,
Yes.
but they definitely are dying of other things, whether it be cancer, stroke, or otherwise. I don't even know what they died of. But the fact is like, it's not like, it takes its toll. That is for certain. So you go into a room of Alcoholics Anonymous and you watch older dudes, and even ladies. I mean, by the way, alcohol is not kind to the ladies. Okay, it definitely takes its toll. My wife, I brought her to a meeting with my 2-year soberversary. I was going to do a talk. I was actually speaking for 15 minutes, and so I brought her there. It's the first time I ever brought her to a talk or a meeting or anything. And as we were leaving, she was like, "Oh yeah, I can't believe like what alcohol does to those ladies," right? I was just like, it's true.
You can always tell, like, oh, they had a lot of fun. Well, and with I mostly go to women's meetings during the day, and that because I live like I'm retired and I'm not. But most of the people
you live like you're retired.
Both the meetings, people at the meeting, women at the meetings are actually retired, and a lot of them the same thing. Like they'll have stuff come up on their healthy, reports with their doctors, and they've been sober 15 years.
Yeah.
So how does that rip into how you're feeling about 11 years?
So I woke up and I totally forgot that I had 11 years, and I just got up and was like, it's a normal day. Honestly, I totally forgot. I totally didn't even think about it when I got up. And then I was in the shower and I was like, oh yeah, I got 11 years, and while you're in
Did
there
you
with the
ever
shower thoughts,
think a day would come where you weren't very cognizant of how long you've been sober?
Isn't that strange? Like you work so hard and you do all those things to
it's all
you're dragging yourself to a goddamn meeting and just trying to not drink one day at a time, quote unquote. And then you wake up 11 years sober and you're like, I don't even remember. I asked my sponsor, I was like, when's the last time somebody celebrated your birthday or your family? They actually called or said anything. And he's like, oh, it's been years.
Yeah.
So people just don't, because it's not their thing. It's our thing. Right?
Yeah. And I understand that. Yeah.
And we're the only people that really will give birthday cakes and coins to people for doing nothing. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's really what it is. We just didn't do something. And we just didn't do something, and we're going to celebrate not doing something. That's it.
Celebration by omission.
Yeah. I remember I had 5 years sober, and my wife hadn't drank in 5 years or 6 years, right? When I had 5 years sober. And I was making a big deal out of 5 years because it's 5 years, I was making a big deal about it. And she was like, the cat's got more sobriety than you do. And I was just like, what? And she goes, come to think about it, I have more sobriety than you do. I got 6 years. She hadn't had a drink in 6 years. Just by not having drinks.
No.
Just on her own, right? Just no program, no need.
Was that nothing. In solidarity with you? Or
no, that was just she didn't drink before either because she couldn't actually because I was too drunk.
She had to take care of you.
Yeah, she had to take care of everything else. So.
She was the chaperone.
Exactly. She had to babysit me half the fucking time. So why would she do that? So yeah, that's the thought. And then a little bit of part of me was like, oh, I wish somebody would tell me. So so I texted Lindsey and I said, Lindsey, I celebrate 11 years today. And then you said congratulations. That's all I needed right there. And then I sent a message to the one woman that if you go back and listen to the podcast, maybe a year ago, maybe it was exactly a year ago, a little bit more. Kristen. So I sent her a message on Facebook. She's like one of the people I met on Reddit, Stop Drinking, and who kind of helped me to adapt into a new life of recovery, right? So, and then she's probably one of the reasons I started going to meetings because she said, I did it for a while or I'm doing it or whatever. Not all into it, but I'm doing it kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I did that too. So, yeah. So are you going to do anything for your 10 years? Do you have anything planned?
I don't have anything planned. If I do something, it'll be last minute, but it falls on a Saturday.
Ooh.
And there's this big convention that AA does every year in Ocean City, Maryland, called Sessions by the Sea. And it's during that. So I might go to the beach just for a few days and go to some of those.
That'd be fun.
meetings.
Yeah, and then you get to do like what do they do when they do a call? What do they do? What do they call it? There's the roll call. So they do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you do the roll call, and then you get to do your years. That's fun. You get to see all the people that have your same years.
Yeah, and I've never been to a convention like this, but I've heard it's amazing. Just like hundreds of AA people.
Bunch of just dysfunction in one location. Just
pretending to keep it together.
And you'll always hear in that situation, like, imagine if we were all drinking at this moment, like how fucked up this place would be. They take great pride in saying shit like that.
I do have to share with you. I guess it was a billboard I saw. You know those things where they change the letters, marquee, I guess, but they do it manually. Mm-hmm. It said, "Not all who wander are lost." And I was like, "Oh, awesome, Tolkien. Okay, what's the rest? What are they adding to it?"
Fill it in.
Not all who wander are lost. Most of us are just looking for the bourbon.
Yeah, most of us just wander around looking for a way.
And I'm like, ha, ha, ha. Like the alcohol, does that get you anymore? Like the jokes about alcohol that I used to love, because I'm like, oh, that's me. I'm like, this is so dumb. Like, this is so tired. Why are we still making jokes about this?
Oh, because that's just the way that people are, man.
It's so dumb.
It's pervasive, right? It's like, that's exactly how people think. Yeah, I still see a lot of that stuff, actually.
Like, you're going to take a quote like that and...
Dude, any Facebook of somebody who's actively drinking is just absolutely like, I mean, one of us anyway. Yeah.
Right.
It's just, yeah. There's not a picture of them without a cup in their hand, which is so funny, right? They don't see it at all. To them, that's just like, it's just innocuous. That's just a thing that exists. But I'm
sure it's just coffee in that red Solo cup.
Yeah. Hey, all right. So I'm going to read this. Ready?
Okay. Go for it.
And then we're gonna talk a little bit about it, maybe because it does tie into the 11-year theme. And there's a reason why I put this on the date that it is, right? So sometimes, again, I hide things in plain sight. August 22nd, from 366 effing days sober. And if you have anything to read from your book, by all means, crack it open and read away. But here it is. They talk a lot about service in the rooms of recovery. Serving others is a primary part of the program, quote unquote. And it can feel less inspiring in the beginning knowing that this is the result of all your efforts. I'm so not depressed about that at this point. Especially because we can still be so selfish and self-centered. We were prescribed by Dr. Bob in AA, that's one of the founders, by the way, to trust God, clean house, and serve others, quote unquote. That pretty much sums it up, but we tend to skip the first two parts of that prescription and forget that this quote-unquote program takes time to grasp, digest, and work into our lives. We must be living our lives and work towards a moment when we can help others effectively. This is the part where we tell you to put your mask on first, because you can't help others unless you have first secured your care and safety. That is the first two parts. After that, then you will be able to help others effectively. The last part doesn't come unless you have done the first two. Reflections: are you trusting God of your understanding? Are you cleaning house, parentheses, getting your life in order? Daily challenge: read about Dr. Bob at drbobshome.org. There you go, little advertisement for Dr. Bob's Home.
What? I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yeah, it's drbobshome.org. It's in Akron, Ohio.
I want to go to Akron so badly. That would be cool. Okay, so how do you relate that to your 11 years?
So my 11 years, which is for the most, the first 2 years were absolutely me and just selfish existence and understanding, just trying to understand what I'm dealing with. I have no clue. Just listen to that. That wasn't me working on myself. The first 2 years are just me trying to understand what it is that I have to work with. That was strictly a review right?
A review. They were under observation.
I was under observation from sober Carl.
No
for 2 years.
evaluation yet, just observation.
Just observe it, right?
I
Like,
know
so
what you mean. I know what you mean.
there is no work being done other than that. Like, that's it. That's what I'm observing. And then, but let me just say, the reason why I say that is because I did the step work in AA. I went to AA. Not only that, I was doing Reddit Stop Drinking. I was participating in the forums. People have problems. They bring it up. You get to comment. You get to share a little bit about your reflection. It's all very selfish, self-centered behavior, but it's all there, right? So you're just everybody's just floating around in the comment section of self.
Yeah.
And so you put it all out there and you do all that good stuff and you start to understand what you're working with, I guess. Then I started doing the step work with my first sponsor and we just covered a lot of, it's almost like cursory, like I was glazing the step work. I was skimming. I was like skipping along, right? And I'm doing a lot of the basics and I'm just, and I'm making my lists and I just realize I hate people. And then I'm angry, and then I'm angry at being angry. I'm like, ooh, that's such a meta effect of anger, and then and I'm just skipping over it, right? And again, I'm just most of the time I'm really just observing that Carl has a problem. That's it. Like Carl got issue. Whatever's going on with Carl, he got issue, and then so as I skip through it, what happens in that first 2 years is that I realized that I'm fucked up but I got honest. I was able to get honest. I got more willing, right? I was willing, but I was really more willing. Even in that time I thought I was like willing, like I was like, yeah, like I want to do that. And then I'd put it off for like 3 weeks, but then I'd want to do it every day, but I just wouldn't do it. That's not really being willing. If you want to do it and don't do it, guess what? That means you're not willing. So I thought I was, but I wasn't. So then, let me just say, I got a good grace period for about 2 years where I really started to see things. I started to read other books, not just the AA book, but I started to read other things and da-da-da. Let me just say, I know that I helped people along the way in some way, shape, or form, but what I didn't really understand is my effectiveness in helping people, right? And could you truly, really sacrifice yourself enough to spend the time necessary that what was being spent with me by my sponsor? The hours that I talked to that man on the phone, I don't know if I was ever willing to put those hours in for anybody else, right? Like I would never, in that first 4 years at least, I would never have done the same for somebody else, right? I would want to, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if I would have. So then I got to a point where it's like I really put my mask on, meaning like I got into the work. I redid the steps actually in basically the third year. I redid all the work. I really got into it, really looking at the shadow work that they talk about with Carl Jung, right? Like looking at what really makes Carl tick, what are Carl's real issues. And then it went even further. So that's when I went into my sponsor would call me codependent, and I would say, what does that mean, right? And then I'd dig into that stuff, and I'd read books on that stuff, or I'd look up, other psychological things. What makes a person? What is narcissism really? What is bipolar really? You know what I mean? I'm like, not that I'm these things, but boy, are we close. Right? You know what I mean? Like I'm like, boy, do I
close cousins.
I really cross a lot of lines here. So then I was like, and I became not only determined but true willingness to do the work. And then once I did the work, and once I'm on the other side of it, and you finally get that breath, you finally catch the air, you finally catch yourself not saying or doing the things that you used to do. You get those moments of grace. It's not perfect, by the way. And today, even still not perfect. 2 days ago, I just argued with my wife, with my 19-year-old daughter going, do you mind? I'm leaving for college. Can you guys just not argue right now? Right? And I'm like, oh, yeah. So it's not perfect. But let me just say, it's all the things that make, you get those moments, you get that little bit of grace, you get that breathing room.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do with that breathing room really will tell whether you're doing the program or not. Because a lot of people get the breathing room and they go, I got mine. Fuck y'all. I'm out of here. Gonna go get a better job. Gonna go work a better thing. I'm gonna fucking divorce that bitch or dude. I'm out of here. Like, fuck it all. I'm out. I'm gonna be a better person just without the people that I fucked up.
Right.
Yeah.
Vacuum.
Yeah. Exactly. And without having to truly make any real reparations or amends
or behavior changes,
right? Because they could easily then live in cursory relationships or surface relationships and just look good, right? Or they go off and they do other things. But for me, a real big part of it was really turning around after I got the understanding. I would never have been here. I would never have crossed that line. I would never have those moments of peace. Which is all I wanted, by the way. I just wanted to feel peaceful. I just wanted to feel safety. I wanted to feel accepted, liked, and loved. Basic shit, right? For most people raised in a nice home. But for me, it was a desperation for those things. I desperately desired that. So when I got it, I was like, oh, but how did I get here? And it was because of, the men and women who held space for that, the men and women who loved me in a way that I could never imagine. As much as I didn't want their kind of love, quote unquote, I don't know what I want. Again, I'm evaluating this immature dude. And then when I cross over, if I was to just say, I got mine and I'll see you later, that would have been a betrayal to what I viewed as a contract, right?
Yeah.
I was told, if you do these things and we trust you to do it, then you will be a better person. And the fact is it worked, and I hated it. That's the reason. I hated it because number 12 meant that I didn't get to go do what I wanted to, which, because again, I'm a selfish cunt. And so I just didn't want to let go. You know what I mean? It's like, it goes against everything that I think,
By the time you got to 12, did you have it? Was there a change of heart with that?
By the time I got to the
12.
Yeah, exactly. Which is because then you realize one thing is to be able to give that to somebody else, or to participate, not give it, but to be able to participate in allowing somebody else to move into that space too. That's priceless. That's like, and whether they know it or not is not your job. It's not your outcome. It's not your responsibility. It really is just you do the things that other people did for you in order to make that happen. And that's the contract. And they tell me the only way that I can keep what I have is by continuing to do that. And I just go, and I get it now, but not then, you know what I mean? Cause dude, when I was getting sober, there's people, I saw a dude, and he started his own business, a fitness studio. And I was like, oh my gosh. He just went and he was he's blowing up. He's driving new cars and,
in the program?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And he took all that energy and put it all into doing this super cool thing. And I was just wow. And then I got to see it later, and I got to see it later and later. And I was like, ooh, I don't know if I would, do I want to do that? No, I wouldn't be able to look myself in the mirror again. You know what I mean? And that's where I was I'm not doing that. So I just started to look and see, all right, what does Carl have to do to get right in the world and to stay right in the world? And that's basically it. So when I feel at 11 years, sometimes, let me just say straight out, sometimes it sucks, right? It is not what you think it's going to be, right? Because you move forward and you realize that there is a price to pay. We should have called it price to pay.
What did you think it was going to be when you say it's not how you think it's going to be?
Oh,
what did you think that would look like?
Well, let me just say, at 10 years, I expected at least my family to be Dad, it's 10 years today. Congratulations.
Okay, so
Thank you
the
for
more
being
that-
our wonderful father. Oh, and my boss, you want another 20, 30 grand bonus this year, Carl? Like, absolutely. Right?
the extrinsic reward.
I was 10 years without a job. You know what I mean? I had been let go from another job. I'm like, oh my God, you know? And it's like, I'm like 10 years sober. Don't you know? Like, that's supposed to be something that I deserve, etc. Right? And you realize that life is just life, and it just does what it does. And whether you're sober or not, sometimes it just wants a piece of that, you know? So, yeah, I there's a lot that I did expect, and a lot that I go, because in my mind, like the good, selfish alcoholic that I am, I'm like, is that too much to ask? God, is that too much to ask?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
That validation is really important too.
Yeah, yeah. What about you? Did you ever get disappointed in, like, at some point and you go, damn, like, it's not what I thought it was?
I don't know that I could have fathomed what I thought it would be like. Like, it was just unthinkable that anyone could be sober for even a year.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have expectations.
But what about as you settled into it? What about as you, like, 5-6 years, you're settling in? You know what I mean? Like, did you kind of go like, I should have a better car? Like,
No.
No, you didn't?
No, you mean like expecting different gifts of the program in my life?
Just hard work return, right? You know what I mean? Like, that's that's supposed to be like a thing, right? You know,
I think for me, it's returned itself a million times over because of how I feel within, which has always been more important to me. And maybe that has something to do with the correlation of like external turmoil in one's life, and then as they get sober, wanting the opposite of that externally. But for me, it was mostly, I mean, I screwed up people's lives and stuff, but like my soul is what was hurting the most. And so the fact that I can even have a glimmer of peace is a miracle. So, and like you said, it's just part of our lives now, which is so beautiful that this is the norm, like that you woke up and forgot because you're sober.
And I also didn't wake up today and really think I should have a better car or a better job.
That's
or
good.
You know what I mean? Like, so, but I'm saying, like, that does.
I understand.
That does fade, right? But dude, even when I was 6 months sober, I was like, my thought was like, oh, I'm gonna go freelance. I'm gonna start my company again. I'm gonna do that. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of drive stuff that you think, oh, I have all this other energy to use, right? And I just never really, you know what I mean? Like, and then I realized, like, during that time, I actually figured out, like, oh no, if I do that, I really kind of go back to the same person.
Yeah. Right.
And so that's what I fought a lot of the ways along too, is like, just like that dude that goes and starts his own company. I'm like, oh, now where's his focus? Where's his real?
Yeah.
Where's his
like
peace of mind?
Assessing your motives.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I haven't. So let me just say, the reason I wrote this, like, was because of the people that come in, and you hear it all the time, and I thought the same thing, which is like, you know, I'm better now. I stopped drinking. I stopped doing all this other stuff, and then look at me like I'm going to go help others, and that's kind of what, like, you know, it's steps, you know, 1, 2, 3, 12, 1, 2, 3, 12, right? And I kind of did that, right, for that first 4 years, for, you know, in that way, you know, especially, you know, in the first 2 years. I had a sponsee when I was a year sober, and I was like, I shouldn't have been sponsoring nobody. And you know, poor sponsee, you know, it's like, he's just like, oh, whatever. So that's the thing is, you know, a lot of people come in and they do this 1, 2, 3, 12, 1, 2, 3, 12, and we can delude ourselves into thinking that we're actually doing recovery, or we're doing the deep inner work that's going to heal our, you know, what you said, like, you know, you have a soul sickness, right? And otherwise known in the big book as a spiritual malady, right? And so that's kind of it. It's like I had a spiritual malady too. Like that's exactly where I was. I was used up, burned up, and I wanted nothing to do with this spiritual nothing, you know? So, but that's what I learned is that, like it's something that's very personal, something that's very hard earned on the inside, right? And you have to do the work in order to get there. Cause if you don't, then what happens? Like you turn around, you think you're helping somebody else. You're trying to get the results of helping somebody else without having the real effectiveness internally in order to really truly help somebody else.
The real change in moral psyche, as they call it, right?
Because you're just pretending at that point, unless you're actually doing it.
Yeah, and I couldn't wait to work the steps. I don't know if that's just the student in me. Stop, don't. I know you're going to make fun of something that I'm going to say.
You're right. I was already making fun of you in my mind. I was like, all right, you teacher's pet. You like,
as soon as the words came out. But I just wanted to, as my sponsor recommended, I wasn't trying to rush through them, but I knew, I'm like, just get this out of me. Like, I know there's stuff in there. I just want to feel better. Like we've said before, I think I've said this quote, doing the work is the shortcut, right? Like that's the fastest way to relief.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say, well, like how people saying like, oh, how long should I wait to do 4 and 5? And people ask, how long do you want to feel sick for, you know? Yeah. And there's so much drama around the steps and 4, 5, 8, 9.
Just fucking do it.
Do it. Like,
you got nothing to lose, basically. And I it's so funny because I was like, I did it twice, right? In that way. But I tell you, I thought the whole way through, especially doing the first time, I was like, this is all bullshit. It's bullshit, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And again, it's all cursory, it's all surface level stuff, but it still is chipping away at some things, right? And then when I go back to do it, I knew kind of what to expect. And that's the thing is like, I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to fall for this spiritual God stuff. So I'll just do it, but without falling for that shit. And then that was the thing is like, I ended up doing it because I knew what I knew from doing it the first time. And the second time I went through it, I'm like, maybe I should give this some consideration. Maybe I should give this a much more deeper understanding and really try. Right? Yeah.
Well, it's like you're doing it anyway. So why not do it fully, right?
And honestly, it's like what they say is like they will refund your misery in full, right? And let you take it home. You could take all that shit back anytime you want. You could totally just go home and not do this shit anymore. By all means, please. And I'll tell you, that's I think what a lot of us need. Like we need to be able to go back. By the way, to your point in your book, which I thought about the other day, I was like, failure is a data point, right? So if I'm looking at that stuff and I go back and I don't, my life sucks because I'm no longer doing this thing or no longer going to these meetings or hanging out with these sober people or whatever, or doing what I did to stay sober. And then I fail. It's like, that's a data point. Like, so what, so like review that. What didn't I do? And that's really why I'm here today, because I did that exact. I was like, oh, shoot, I was in AA and NA when I was younger, from 20 to 25. Didn't really want to consider what they had to offer. Nobody ever told me to read the book, And a lot of the people that I knew, still know today, are sober from those meetings. Wow. 30 years, 40 years later, right? Yeah. I know these people. They're still alive and they're still sober. And I was like, what did they do that I didn't? I'm like, oh yeah, they they read the books and did the work. Duh. You know what I mean? So at 42, that's when I went back in, you know what I mean? So failure was a data point. Yeah.
About the failure. Yeah, I love that. Whoever wrote that book is brilliant.
That Spirit Vigilante book is awesome.
Yeah.
I read it on occasion.
I heard I can tell you've read it. You bring up some quotes. I'm like, he read it.
I have read it almost twice now, by the way. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That means so much. But I was at a kind of motivational talk thing, and this really successful businessman said something, and he said, I like to fail fast. I like to fail as fast as possible, because then I can go on to the next thing fail fast. Like check, that didn't work, that variable, just like you're in a laboratory. It's an experiment. Okay, that A didn't work, let's try B. Fail fast.
Yep. And if you can do that with a sense of resilience, you know, that's all there is to it. And I don't know, there's like a Bible quote around that too. It's like, you know, what is it? Fail 7 times, get up 8 or something like that.
Yeah.
There's something in the Bible that mentions that stuff.
I mean, the word fail just so like, I don't even like that word.
Well, of course, you're the teacher's pet. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So
I don't.
You don't.
It just connotes so much more than what we're talking about. Like mistake, I don't know. It's just such a big word that we apply to very innocuous, petty topics in the scheme of things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally get that. Okay, so how are we going to wrap this up and put a bow on it? What is the takeaway from our discussion today?
So trust God, clean house, and serve others. So we kind of talked about how your trust in God and serving others has evolved and changed. I was interested to hear, if you think we can squeeze it into this episode, how your process of cleaning house has changed, if it has, and what that phrase means to you.
That's really a good thing, cleaning house. I have continued to clean house. It's like, you know, I don't know if you clean your house, but if you let it go, you know, again, I got a lot of dogs. I got a lot of hair buildup, right? It turns into tumbleweed city right in here with the golden retriever hair. If you don't do it every day, as you walk in, it just looks worse and worse and worse and 100 times worse, right? So every day I got to get that dust mop out. If I'm talking on the phone, you know, talking to sponsees, spending hours on the phone, I just grab the dust mop and I walk around and talk and I do the dust mop, and that's all there is to it. But if you let it go, or the same thing with the dog poop, which I always talk about, I got to run
and the white sock,
gag, and the white sock, all those things, right? If you're not attentive to those things, you will literally, and that's just, again, analogies and metaphors galore, right? That's all it is. Basically, it's like, because if you do the same thing in your life, if you think negatively of somebody, if you judge somebody, if you're talking behind their backs or gossiping, if you are stealing from somebody, or if you are manipulating to cause them harm, whatever it may be, to get your way, all those other types of things. These are very like everyday common behaviors of the human psyche. That's who we are. Yeah. Like, let's just, like, that's exactly what, sober or not, or
right,
11 years or not, we do all those same things. I don't care who you are. But the difference in the program, quote unquote, of recovery and cleaning house is that you don't let those things reside or sit or stale or go unspoken or go untouched or, you know, or make some effort to reverse that course. So, for instance, if I'll give you just little things to big things, right? Little things. And I think we talked about the big thing actually on the podcast not too long ago. I think it was like last summer, or last winter maybe. But the little things are like this. I can even do this like in a meeting. There's a dude that comes in and he used one of my cards like that I had sitting out to reserve a spot chair. And it was my card that actually he was using. And I was like, dude, like, that's my card. Like, you don't go and, like, because there's a place where you can put cards, and I put a SoberPod card, like business card.
Like a business card, okay.
Yeah, to like advertise, you know. Sure. So it's at this recovery place, right? And he took one of these cards to reserve a chair, basically. My card to reserve a chair. So he's gonna throw it away. It's like trash to him, right?
Like disrespectful.
That's the way I kind of felt it. But let me just say, like, I come in and I go, what's my card doing on a chair here? And it's like, so, and I was like, oh, somebody's reserving the seat. And then I found out who it was. I picked up the card, put it in my back pocket, and I sat in the fucking chair, right? Because I'm like, fuck him, right? And then, again, I don't know, it was like, this is probably like 3-4 years ago or something. And then he came over and he said some shit, and I said some shit, right? And just like being sarcastic or whatever. And then I was like, you know what? That's just terrible of me, isn't it? right? Like as the next day, I talk to my sponsor. I go, yeah, look, that motherfucker, and then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? Like that's just not cool. That's just not being a good person. Period. Right? So, and instead of telling him, dude, yeah, I picked up the card and confessing, and I was a jerk or whatever, rather because it would actually kind of defeat like what I would, it's like it would just make it worse. So I basically said, every time I see that dude from now on, I'm going to fucking like greet him. I'm going to treat him like the fucking human and spiritual being that he is. And every time I'm going to greet him with care, love, as much as I can. And so when I see him, I'm just going to make that effort. And not only that, I'm going to save him a seat next to me in every meeting from now on. If he shows up, then he can, he can sit. You know what I'm saying? So that is very different, right? Do you see that kind of cleaning house versus like it's a very little thing, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, when I see him today, and I did this now for years, I've still done it, by the way, every time. This is like 3-4 years ago. Every time I see him now, we are fucking best buddies. We're just we're high-fiving and side-hugging all the way to next week, We're not penis on penis, but we'll get there,
I think sometimes you just check to make sure I'm paying attention. Which I always am.
Surprise is some of the best effort in comedy. Surprise. So then, but then the worst case in maintenance was the water polo incident where I'm telling these referees, fuck you, or whatever, and I have to go back and apologize. And if you guys go back and listen to previous episodes, you guys will find that story referenced or told in detail. Good one. But you know what? That's regular maintenance cleaning house, not only with strangers, I mean internally as well. Arguments with the missus or whatever, we apologize. We did all that stuff. We talked it out, but it isn't held in rancor anymore, and it isn't something that I let go like I used to, right? Like, it was so easy to be before. Would you say that those are good examples of like
those are great
minor and major cleaning house?
They're great examples. And even the little things, I love the quote, how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
And that matters. I mean, I think the little things are the big things. And I think for me, it gets to a point where forget the other person and their feelings. I get to a point where it's so uncomfortable for me to sit in that.
Yeah.
So
100%.
Because of the guilt or the whatever, or the anger, even if it's self-justified anger, which used to be like my favorite, it doesn't feel good anymore.
Because fuck them.
Yeah. Like I don't want to win. I don't want to win or be right anymore at the cost of my sanity.
So
really.
Talk to me about, I want to know this because it's hard, because you have to, like in that instance with the guy with the card.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like I literally have to swallow my pride, and I have to swallow that hurt or that anger in some way. But what I have to do is I have to move it to a place of love. And that is a hard thing to do. Can you tell me how you do that? How do you consider that when you have that self-justified anger? How do you turn that into something that is not, toxic for yourself?
I pause. Pausing is a great tool now, which I didn't used to be able to do. I write about it, call my sponsor. And throughout my day, I really kind of ask myself, tell myself I choose love over fear. How can I choose love in this situation? Mm-hmm. It helps me to think of everyone kind of their inner child somewhere in there.
That's why you like me so much, because I have such a cute inner child.
Because you're like 7.
Because I am. Because I've been 7 all my life.
We do the filters with the babies.
Oh yeah, we actually do have that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, that's how it looks for me. And I'm not perfect, but I can pause now. I can see where another person is going. And as their anger's rising, I can actually not contribute to it. Like I can choose not to fuel the fire and make it about me. I can tell we're not getting anywhere tonight. Now we're just poking wounds I'm going to step back. Let's talk tomorrow. Because once you just start attacking each other, there's no conversation there. But when you were talking about cleaning house, it kind of makes me think of, I was told that we can do any step that begins with 1 at any time. So
Yeah, I like
first
that too.
step,
Yeah.
second step. So what you're talking about is second step. So 10th step stuff, like you're promptly admitting it. And then 11, of course, meditation and prayer. And then 12, helping other people. Helping other people is a great tactic to clean house, because then you're in that place of love. And when you're in that place of love, it's hard for that fear or self-doubt or self-pity to creep in. Like it doesn't. They don't like each other.
Yeah, go looking at that card guy example is a really good 10, 11, and 12 example.
Yes.
1, I acknowledge it, like my shit stinks, right?
Yeah.
So it's step 10. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve my conscience. Basically I'm seeking wisdom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, what would make this better? I'm reflective of that. Okay, and then 12, I turn to the action of what
You actually helped him. Yeah.
which is to say, I've saved a seat for you, so you'll. So
Right.
There's no argument about. So and that's the other thing is like I don't do it today just because I don't want him to grab cards. The cards have been long gone. You know what I mean? I do it today because of the action now has taken place of what used to be there, which was sarcasm.
Yeah.
So it doesn't exist anymore because I've made an effort to replace that behavior with love and with attention and service, right? So, and it sucks, by the way. Let me just say, can I really, that's how we should cap this. This is the bow. Recovery sucks, right? You can quote me on that. Recovery really sucks.
Is that the name of your next book?
Because exactly, that would be a fucking great book. I'm going to do that one. So recovery sucks, but the reason why recovery sucks is because it doesn't serve the selfish and self-centered alcoholic that I am naturally, because that is my natural state of being, and I can, you know what I mean. And at every turn, I am still about me. Even at 11 years, I'm still about me. And the reason that recovery sucks is because it pushes me into a lane that I still don't want to be in. That every day I find it hard to participate because fucking her and fucking them, and he's an asshole and she's a dick, and she can be angry with impunity, but I got to be over here and be fucking nice about it. Man, that fucking sucks, right? And so, yes, recovery sucks, but that'll be the little parens, but it's worth it. Right? At all stages it does suck, but it's worth it, and it helps me be the person, not always perfect, but the person that is always at least seeking progress or seeking to be better with what I've been given, right? Playing the hands that I have. So that's my bow. I'm done. I'm gonna get off my side.
So is that your kind of final note to the?
Is that your final answer? Yes, it's my final. Give me my $1 million right now.
Phone a friend.
I want to. Can I call Lindsey? Oh shit! I'm on the phone with Lindsey already.
I should be the first one.
Yeah, I think that's my final answer. But I do want to quote a really, of a really important person, an author that I do love and that I have respected for a while since I started reading her work. And it is a question that she answers. She says, "How did I get here?" ? And she says, "Little steps, one day at a time, faith, trust, hope, love. Let's take this walk together now, shall we?" Do you know who wrote that?
I didn't until the end. I was like, why isn't he saying the name of the author? Wow. Ivan Wagner.
Is this Lindsey woman. And I think every time that we're on a podcast, I'm just going to quote yourself to you and just see how you respond to it. Because
wow,
by the way, I do the same
out
stuff.
Out of context, I did not recognize that. Wow.
But that's like, how did you get to 10 years?
How did we? Yeah. How did you get here? Yeah.
We did little steps, one day at a time. Faith, trust, hope, love. Walking it together.
Those are
there you
big
go.
words. to say little steps in the same
Yep. Exactly.
breath. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you.
It's a big deal. It's a big
Yeah,
deal.
sometimes. Not to a lot of people. It is to me. You know, I know it's not to everybody else, but it is to me. Even as much as I forgot about it, I can't. You know, I did go update my. I have like a little bumper sticker that has the little Roman numeral.
Oh, that's cute.
So I scrape it off every year and put the new Roman numeral on it. That's fun.
Nice.
I posted that on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram and see that.
I follow you.
Yeah, there you go. And you can just. Oh yeah, there you go. All right, that's it. What do we say to the kind, loving, lovely, helping people out there?
Suckers.
Suckers! Recovery sucks! See you later! Bye!
Good luck.
Soberpod.com. Yeah. It was a sight to see them. Breakfast with Sprite and Seagrams. Wrestling with my vices, exercising my demons. My blessings were blocked, so I never got the message. I'm stressing, I'm only 12 steps from an exit. Regret it, because my imperfections were perfected. I ain't run from it, I accept it and rep it. It's a badge to me, good stories come from a tragedy. And when you survive, the glory will come in Act 3. The wait's over, 366 days sober. Morning affirmations that can start the day for you. Use my favorite bookmark for a placeholder. Finish when the day's over. Okay. Yeah, sober pod, keep it authentic, no facades. If it's real, then you know it's ours. Welcome.